Hello and welcome to Pan-African Television, and welcome to Pan-African Television on your Wednesday Palaver show. We are here again today to discuss one of the pressing issues that is happening across the world, and this issue is none other but the situation in Palestine. A lot has been happening over the years regarding the situation in Palestine, and we have a lot of recent updates as regards to what the UN is saying, what the World Health Organization is saying, what all the other progressive organizations across the world are saying, and also a lot of evidences about the situation over there amid the genocidal killings, occupation, and all that. But today we have in the studio our very own comrade Najib Yahya, to give us a presentation on what is happening in Palestine and the details of what the recent updates are. So with a round of applause, I would like to introduce Mr. Najib Yahya. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Hak. Thanks to our studio audience and those watching us from home. It's always a pleasure to be here every Wednesday, but I don't know whether to say it's a pleasure to be here today, especially considering what we are going to discuss today, which is Palestine. The issue of Palestine is one issue that strikes me in particular so hard every time I have to talk about it. The issue of Palestine is so heart-bleeding every time I have to have a conversation with somebody around it. It so happens that Palestine is, just like most African countries, is one country that has been through very heart-wrenching history of colonization, dehumanization of its people, population, and so on and so forth. Just when they thought they had become independent, through the Balfour Declaration, their country was thrown into even more turmoil when Lord Balfour, through a stroke of a pen, decided to toss Palestine, or some part of it, to a Zionist regime to create a state that all Jewish people can identify as a home. So Balfour, acting on behalf of the Majesty and in collaboration with Western allies generally, created Israel in 1948. Now, the creation of Israel has brought nothing but pain to the people of Israel since the day of its creation. The people of Palestine. Because we have seen mass expulsion of Palestinian people from their own ancestral land for well over 70 years. I think 75 years today. The senseless slaughter of children and mass murder of women is what we have seen for well over 70 years. And yet, the world looks on. It's very interesting when you see most countries of the West supporting Israel on this matter. But it is even more heartbreaking when we hear people try to make it a religious issue. The issue in Palestine has very little to do with religion. It has very little religious undertones. It's all socio-political and economic issues. Like I've said, there never existed Israel before 1948. We are told of stories about Israelites who once settled in modern-day Palestine. That's thousands of years ago, and that God promised them the land if they, ever returned. I've heard quite a number of such stories, and it's sometimes it's so funny, to say the least. I don't know which God promised them those lands, but what my history teaches me, and what history generally, objectively teaches the world, is that in 1948 or prior to 1948, when the world wanted a home for people of Jewish descent, the first place they thought about was Uganda. Now, I don't know if that was God that chose Uganda and changed his mind. And I don't know what kind of God we're talking about here. It's certainly not the Christian God. Most definitely not the Muslim God. And I believe it's not the Jewish God. Because the last time I checked, these are gods, or that's a God that's supposed to be very just and does not take from one man and give to the other. So I'm wondering what God they're talking about. Maybe the gods sitting in Washington, those sitting in London, in Paris, and most part of, the West is what we're talking about. The former Egyptian president said the Israelites they know left that land as black people. So there's very little wonder when they come back as whites claiming that land. So it looks like, or it appears, most of us would have to go back and read our history and see who they are talking about as Israelites. But I'm not going to go into that history, and I'm not going to go into the religious bit. Like I've said, the history of these people is very heart-wrenching. It's pathetic. And it's so similar to us in this part of the world. And that is why you see that all men and women of conscience who have been colonized before see some aspect of what was done to them being perpetuated against Palestinians. And all colonizers, all oppressive people see themselves in Israel. What Israel seeks to do to Palestine today is exactly what the British did to South Africa. What Israel seeks to do to Palestine today is what the Germans did in Namibia. And anybody who knows your history very well will know what I'm talking about. What Israel is doing today is exactly what the French did in Algeria. It is nothing but a brutal denial of basic fundamental human rights of a people, establishing your dominance on somebody's soil and taking full control. And that is exactly what they seek to do, or they are doing, because they've been successful to some extent. But this is the 21st century. You cannot colonize people that way. Apartheid regimes cannot be accepted in the 21st century. Yet, that's exactly what Israel is perpetuating against the people of Palestine. Now, in most cases, when I have this discussion with people, I tell them that for a little bit, just close your eyes and imagine this. Close your eyes, especially those of us here, and imagine that right behind us is the N1. Let's say that was a concrete wall, and that you had children who would have to go to school just across the N1. Yet every morning, you would have to march them through to, say, towards Tema, and then come back all the way to Abofu through a series of checkpoints. Just imagine having to go through that with your children every day. Imagine that you had a wife in labor, that you would have to go through the same route, through about 10 to 15 checkpoints, before getting her to the hospital. That's if at all she would be admitted. Just imagine that. Imagine life without electricity for weeks. I mean, we go through Doomsaw here for a couple of hours or a couple of days and we cry. Imagine life without electricity, cut off deliberately for a week, 2, 3 weeks, without water. I'm not talking about water to bath, water to drink. Just imagine being denied the basic necessities of life and having to go through that, not for a year, 2, or even a decade, for 70 years. So when we talk about the struggles of Palestinian people, it's just not a cry for justice. It's a fight to realize basic or fundamental human rights. Rights that are supposed to be accorded to every human being by the mere fact that you were born on this earth. The right to life. Your life shouldn't be taken away from you by anybody who deems it fit. The freedom of movement, the right to food, the right to water, freedom of association, and so on and so forth. So just imagine for a bit that these rights are constantly violated and taken away from you for years. Imagine staying in a society where your life can be taken. So what I'm basically saying is that you're going out to work and coming back home. Deserves a congratulations. Any married woman in Palestine can become a widow any moment. And any married man with children could die and leave his family. And that is the reality of these people. And yet, you have people talking about God giving them some lands and that they settled there once and should settle there again. And, stories that sometimes are unimaginable. I mean, if the logic holds that once you have settled or your ancestors have settled somewhere before, you have the right to go back to it and take it anytime you want. Just think for a minute. Or pause for 1 minute and think about it, the kind of pandemonium we will have. Imagine the guns of this country decided to go back to Nigeria, because I hear they are from Ilefe. Imagine they go back there claiming ownership of that land. Imagine all Molly Dagbani extracts from the northern part of this country, from the northern parts of Togo and Nigeria, decided to go back to Mali to claim that land as their ancestral land. Imagine the Europeans of America go back to Europe and want to take back those lands. What kind of world will we be living in? And yet that is the logic that is thrown to us by historians. Okay? By philosophers. By men who are supposed to lead us, women who are supposed to lead us. And they think there's nothing wrong with that. There is everything wrong with that. There is everything wrong with that. But like I've said, all colonized people see themselves in Palestine. And all colonizers, all oppressive people, all repressive regimes see themselves in Israel. Because they live in systems that are established by brute force, maintained through trickery and force, and can only survive into the future using those things. So they see themselves there. That is why every human being of conscience that comes from this part of our world, if indeed you have conscience, it doesn't matter your color, your religion, your creed, you must stand with Palestine. Because they are the oppressed people. So don't be deceived. I mean, don't be deceived, especially by the media, the print media and televisions, the CNNs and BBCs of the world. Don't be deceived. Because if you are not careful, you'll be tricked into thinking or into hating the oppressed and loving the oppressor. When it's suitable to them, they play religious card. When it's suitable to them, they play other cards. Today, there cannot be a talk of Palestine or the conflict in Palestine without talking about Hamas. Am I right? Today, the conflicts out there is all about Hamas and October 7th. As if that happened in vacuum. As if we just woke up and it happened. But you see, that is one trick of most people who oppress others. They start the clock when it's convenient to them. All that happened prior to October 7th is no longer in discussion. The Nakba, the mass expulsion of Palestinians from their ancestral home, is no longer in the discussion. The senseless slaughter of human beings, the hostile takeover of farmlands that belongs to them, is no longer on the table for discussion. The refusal of apartheid Zionist regime on a two-state solution. Nobody is interested in discussing why Israel did everything possible to get that off the table. The discussion today is all around Hamas. The discussion today is all around October 7th, like I'm saying. And sometimes they make it look as though it happened in vacuum. Again, we're being told that, by Netanyahu and his evil regime, that the intention is to exterminate Hamas. Is that not what they say? That's the ultimate, to exterminate Hamas. Yet every day they tell us that every Palestinian is as guilty as Hamas by the mere fact that they are born as Palestinians. So if the idea is to exterminate Hamas and all Palestinians are Hamas, you are indirectly telling us that you intend to commit a Holocaust. The genocide is only on a way to something bigger that they intend to achieve, which is the total annihilation of the Palestinian population. And that, my brothers and sisters, cannot be tolerated. The world cannot sit and watch that, as though lives didn't matter. Before I said, there's one point I need to underscore very strongly, that let nobody misconstrue our activism for Palestine to be anti-Semitic. No. We are not against the right of Jewish people anywhere they are in the world. No, far from that. We are not against their peace and security. What we fight against is a Zionist apartheid regime that continues to kill women and children in schools, in marketplaces, in hospitals, in open areas in the name of looking for Hamas. Just look at every time they tell you Hamas is here, they level it. Hamas isn't there. Al-Shifa Hospital. They leveled the whole of that hospital. They brought out children in incubators, people under dialysis, leveled the whole place, and yet Hamas vanishes. So it tells you, my brothers, that there's a different agenda. There's an entirely different agenda than just looking for Hamas. And by the way, it appears they are so dumb sometimes, I think for want of a better word. Hamas is an ideology. The more people you kill, the more Hamas members you create. Because you don't visit people with oppression and ask them not to resist. Oh yes, they will resist with all the blood in them. So it's very important for us to understand that the apartheid Zionist regime is our problem as activists of Palestine. That as long as the occupation stands, we will continue giving unwavering support to the people of Palestine. That until you let peace survive in Palestine, our activism will not stop. Because as black people, as Africans, as colonized people, as people who have been looked down upon, as people who have to come together and fight the chains around our necks and our legs for freedom, we do understand what oppression is. And we will continue fighting it. It doesn't matter where we find ourselves on this globe. But like I've said, many men of conscience around the world of Jewish descent have raised their voices, and those voices should not be silenced. They deserve commendation for what they are doing, for speaking out against their own government. That's if at all they consider it to be their government. Because Netanyahu obviously has become a very unpopular person and his regime is crumbling. In fact, in the interest of Israel, in the interest of Jewish people, this regime ought to bring a permanent ceasefire in Palestine in their own interest. You know why? Because everybody is shunning them in the international, at the global level. Today, nobody wants to live or buy any property in northern Israel because you don't know when Hezbollah will come after you. You've created enemies up north. You've created enmity with the axis of resistance. And you've created your own enemy within. So in your own interest, and in the interest of world peace, it's important that Netanyahu and his regime brings a permanent ceasefire. Not this, what do they call it? Humanitarian ceasefire. The last time I asked a very seasoned man, I say, what exactly does this humanitarian ceasefire mean? He says, well, it's simple. It simply means that this is food and medicine, eat, and then we come back and kill you. That's what it means. That's what humanitarian ceasefire means. We give you a few days, some space to eat, look healthy enough so that we can come back and kill you. We are told that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Don't you hear that all the time? Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Indeed, it is the only democracy. If democracy by the standards of Western democracy, then indeed it is. The only democracy where its military, okay, films and make TikTok videos of their war crimes and get away with it. Some democracy we have, right? You see them on TikTok. The only democracy that when its own population goes on, protests and strikes, they spread white phosphorus on them. Isn't that some very nice democracy? The only democracy that I think they get about $4 billion worth of military aid from the United States. I don't know what to use for. Whether to kill chickens for Christmas or what? Israel. So my brothers and sisters, my fellow comrades, this is not a religious issue. The issue of Palestine is not a religious one. The issues of Palestine are birth, survival, the striving for basic, fundamental human rights, the right to life. And nobody should be denied those rights because they are inalienable. They are attached to you by birth and cannot be taken away. They can't be taken away in the name of defending Israel. Nobody is against Israel or Jewish people. No, not at all. Far from that. The peace and security of Jewish people should not come at a cost of the loss of lives of millions of women and children. No, that cannot be the case. It appears we are running out of time, and my duty here is simply to facilitate a discussion, which I have done dutifully, I believe, and I'll take my seat, and then if there are any comments and contributions, you can come in.
Thank you so much, Comrade Najib Yahya, for that very well detailed presentation. I think we move to the next segment of the program, which is where I take the audience comments and contributions. So if you can show by hands those who have contributions to make or have comments before we go to our social media platforms. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we'll start from you, Comrade Mensah, then we move to Comrade Badar, and then you take your turn also.
Good evening, studio audience and viewers up there. Comrade Najib, you've taken this theme of, it's as if you have covered every part of what we have to say here. I think there's still, the case of Palestine can be started, but it can never be ended until Palestine is completely free. So here we are again. A day will not pass in Palestine where 60 persons have not been executed and shot at, where 1,100 and over 60 persons have not been wounded. As we are sitting now here, Palestine is in a very big state of turmoil. Children are being executed. Mothers, fathers are at the side of the road. They are being shot at. The youth are fighting it over and they are being shot at. They don't have weapons. They don't hold any guns. They don't hold, the only thing they hold is their, their rubber tie with the throw. And they are being shot at daily. Right now it has become very, very evident that the Zionist state the apartheid state is actually being created by the West capitalist state. It's very, very hegemonic just to control the whole of the Middle East. It's becoming real because as late as last 2 weeks, I think some representatives in the US wrote a petition, they signed it, and what's the petition about? That some individual countries, the International Court of Justice are taking Netanyahu out to the International Court to face the International Court of Justice, and that they will consider the International Court of Justice irrelevant and outmoded if they dare carry out this issue. What kind of laws are we having in the world? Laws for one person and another for different kind of people. But we are saying Palestine will be free. So far as there are people of conscience, people in the world are there and they know that we can differentiate between good and bad. We know Palestine shall be free. We don't hold any grudge to the existence of Israel. What the people of Palestine are looking for is a state to live in peace like any other state. But I believe that the liberation of Palestine will be the end of capitalism. I firmly believe that the liberation of Palestine cannot be put aside without the end of capitalism. And it will definitely happen because the signs are being shown. Right now, Capitol Hill, there's a struggle for power. And with this ongoing, people are there who are also for liberation. And we believe that by all means, it will come to an end. So viva Palestine, viva.
Viva.
Thank you very much, and thanks to Comrade Najib for that educative presentation. I think the issue of Palestine is very obvious. You do not need rocket science to analyze the issue. All what we want is human rights. The people of Palestinians or the people of Palestine deserve to have the basic things a human being needs to live. We are only asking for human rights for the Palestinian people. And every single individual of conscience must be willing to stand in solidarity with Palestine. Now, they say Israel is a homeland for Jewish people. And so if you're a Jew or you believe in Judaism, I mean, your homeland is Israel. Right now, as a Ghanaian, decide to convert from Muslim, Christian, or any religion to a Jew and see if you'll be given an Israeli passport. As a black person, decide to convert to a Jew and see if you'll be given an Israeli passport. However, some years ago, we had some rich men like Abrahamovich and co. Because they were rich, they went to Israel and they were given Israeli passport. What kind of human right is this? What kind of God will give land to a group of people and say, if you are rich, you can come and join them. If you are not rich, you can be part of them, but you can't get their citizenship. It's not fair. And the last thing I would like to say is that as progressive, we must never underestimate the advocacy we do in solidarity with Palestine. Currently, about 12 other countries, in addition to South Africa, has joined South Africa in its case at the International Court of Justice. It tells you that the advocacy and activism we've been doing in solidarity with Palestine is yielding results. And I urge all progressive not to relax. Let's continue to mobilize, let's continue to unite, and then fight in solidarity with Palestine. I hear the Socialist Movement of Ghana will be organizing a car parade in solidarity with Palestine. And I think each and every citizen or each and everyone who believes in human rights must be interested in this program and then join this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, good evening, lovely viewers, and good evenings to the audience. So, I have just one question for Israel. Has it been worth it? Whatever you're looking for, I believe like there's been enough lives that have been lost. Children, women, men. All these people are dying. Has it been worth it? Have you got have you taken a step forward to whatever you're looking for? So I believe at this point, it just doesn't make sense, and it's so clear that they have no clue what they are doing. It's just like they just enjoy killing the people, and then they just enjoy causing whatever is happening. It's just not worth it. So they'll get through with Palestine, and viva to Palestine.
Yeah, thank you so much for those questions. I think I will just take some few comments and contributions from our social media pages and from our WhatsApp platform. I think let me start with WhatsApp. This is a little bit long, but let's try and cover this. This is coming from, there's no name, okay, but this your message is too long. Let me try and get a few out. Greetings. The gentleman speaking, he should not think that because he is a Muslim, he has to support these evil and disastrous organizations. Okay. Hamas should surrender, release the hostages, and this unnecessary war should stop. Okay. Okay, I think he's also saying PATV is becoming like a socialist left-sided political agenda TV. That's from, okay, no name. I mean, just give us your name and then let's hear. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Why are our country leaders so quiet on this Israel-Palestine issue? Or as a country, the leadership benefit from Israel's or their cronies? This invasion of rights and privacy of the Palestinian people must stop. It is on the backdrop of this unjustified invasion that warrants Russia's actions against the West. I am fully in support of whatever that Putin does to bring sanity to the world. Ibrahim from Wa East. That's from Ibrahim in Wa East. This is coming from Edem Kwashi in Likpe in the Guan district. Hello to you, Comrade Edem. Shame on Israel and America. Shame on Netanyahu and Joe Biden. America installed its ally Israel in Palestine. Today, hundreds of innocent Palestinian lives have been killed by Israel. I salute South Africa for being courageous in condemning Israel for their crimes against humanity and disregard for international law. The leadership of Ghana, or the leadership in Ghana, should be ashamed of themselves. What can we expect from neoliberal politicians? They cannot openly condemn the evil powers of imperialism. Just as ancient Babylon fell, so shall the modern Babylon fall. We will defeat Zionism. Long live the Palestinian struggle. Long live the Palestinian struggle. And that's from Edem Kwashi from Likpi. I'll take a few more on social media on our Facebook platform. This is coming from Sana Bruce. Hope I got the name correct. Sana Bruce. Okay. Yesterday's tenants have become owners of the house they occupy. Who does that? Israel must stop. Israel must be ashamed of the killings of innocent children and women. From the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. Where are the so-called human rights activists in the world? This is coming from Blaze Jr. Tulu, and he says, what is happening in Palestine is nothing more than apartheid colonial occupation. We have resisted it in the past, and we will resist apartheid Israel with all the strength of the working class. With all the strength the working class can muster. They are killing our people, but we are resisting them. History will vindicate our struggle. It always does. But we need to organize great protest on Saturday. Oh yes, our car parade is and will be great. Viva Palestine. This is your at the last. I don't get it. Muniru Asani Haruna. Hope that's the name. That's how you pronounce the name. Muniru. It says, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From river to the sea, free Palestine. Muniru shares a lot of love emojis for you, Comrade Najib. This is also coming from Latifa in Aguna. She simply says, hi, thank you for the educative program. Well, hello to you too. Do you have any other comments you want to contribute to the program or to the topic? You can add it later on. This is also coming from Benjamin Doku. He simply says, we stand with Palestine today and we'll stand with Palestine tomorrow. And this says that it is good to remember that Hamas equals Palestinians. You can't differentiate the two. And that's from Kibu. Ben Kibu, or Kibu Ben from Kumasi, basically. He says it's good to remember that Hamas equals Palestinians. You can't differentiate the two. Who started this war? Hamas equals Palestinians. Israel is for the children of Israel. Well, okay, so I think there are a lot of comments coming in, and I wanted to make some last contributions also from my side. I think since October 7th, we've had a lot of proposal for ceasefires. I think about 5 has come from Hamas, and we had 2 coming from Netanyahu government, which have all not succeeded. I think today, or between yesterday and today, there's another proposal on board for ceasefire. As for how the developments are happening, there's a lot of comments and then a lot of other things happening on the side regarding that. As the proposal was put forward by Netanyahu, and then Hamas reportedly have some few deliberations on some variations within the proposal that they wanted to adjust. But this is still a developing news. I just thought that it's important we highlight also on the program. But to add also, on Saturday there's going to be a car parade, just like our comrades have been mentioned, a car parade which will be happening at from the University of Ghana traffic lights, which is Okponglo, at 9 a.m. on Saturday, this Saturday, which is 15th of June 2024. We'll be assembling ourselves with our vehicles and our motorbikes at the Okponglo traffic lights in the morning at 9 a.m. And then with our demonstration, we are going to parade the streets all the way to the University of Ghana, all the way to Haspark in Accra, which is by the Art Center. So that's the route from the University of Ghana Legon traffic light to Art Center. We'll be using the 37 stretch and then curve through the Kanda Highway and then head straight to the Castle Road, use it to join the Independence Avenue, and then we end at the Haspark. That's just close to the Art Center in Accra. You will see the advert on the screen later on, but before that, I would like to invite the moderator, the resource person, Comrade Najib, to come and give us his closing remark and maybe react to some of the comments and contributions. Thank you.
Well, there's virtually no question, and then the other thing I should react to is not worth a reaction. When somebody says that when I speak for humanity and you think I speak for humanity because I'm a Christian or a Muslim, that is your own cup of tea. I'm not going to react to that. I know that, like I've said, men and women of conscience around the world, irrespective of the religion they belong to, are speaking up. Voices are being echoed from the churches because churches are being burnt down in Palestine. Don't think it's only the Arabs that all Arabs are Muslims. They are churches. In fact, the last time I checked, and then you can do your own check, the ratio of Christians in Palestine is more than that of Christians in Israel. As a matter of fact, the oldest church on earth, which is the Church of Nativity, is in Palestine. It's not in Israel. Israeli people are not Christians. They are Jewish people. As a matter of fact, they have very little in common with Christianity. So when people speak out of ignorance, you let them suffer it. One other thing I'd like to call to our attention is the shameless stance that the government of Ghana has taken, because our president says he's solidly behind Israel, solidly with Israel. Mr. President, you speak for yourself when you speak that way. You do not speak for me. You do not speak for quite a number of Ghanaians. You do not speak for people who understand what humanity is. You speak probably for yourself and your cabinet. That's if at all they all support what you are saying. Because I know there are a number of men with conscience that sit in that cabinet with you. So you speak only for yourself. But you see, when people behave the way our president behaves, it's either out of ignorance or wickedness. Our president took our taxpayers' money to go to Palestine to bring a stone to build a cathedral and tell us he brought it from Israel. Does he know what he's talking about? So he doesn't speak for me. At least I can speak for myself and quite a number of people I know. I can speak for the Christian community that has raised their voice against what is happening in Palestine. I can speak even for the Jewish people in Israel, in Tel Aviv, who are organizing mass protests against the Zionist regime to stop what is happening. So yes, Mr. President, you can do what you are doing because you want favors from your Western allies, and especially that you are going into an election year. But you do not speak for us. You speak only for yourself. After all, you have become one of the most unpopular human beings in the streets of Ghana. So I'd like to bring my facilitation to a close by simply saying that from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Well, that's it from our comrade Najib. Thank you so much for taking us through that. And also thank you to our lovely viewers on WhatsApp, on those who are participating to the program on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on YouTube, through the via text message line on the screen and all that. And also, of course, to our directors, our producer, Makiza Latifa, and also to our, I don't know what to refer you to again, but floor manager, we appreciate you for the effort. And of course, for all the other team members also. And the viewers at home, you are most importantly recognized. Your contributions are exceptional. You are the reason why we are here. We thank you for staying with us. We also we employ you to also stick your dial on Pan-African Television for the upcoming segment, which is the Pan-African News, of course, evening news, to get yourself updated for all the other happenings in Ghana and across the world. But before we also end, we'll be ending with the video of the demonstration that's happening, the car parade coming this Saturday. Please make time and then come and participate in this car parade, and let's make our voices heard together as we stand for humanity, as we stand against apartheid. We keep our principles as opposed to what our government stands for. Let's express them in our solidarity with the people of Palestine. So it's bye-bye for us. You might not see us again. It's bye-bye from the studio audience. It's bye-bye from the production team. And it's bye-bye till we see you again next week. Thank you.
Stand with Palestine by joining our Palestine Solidarity Car Parade, organized by the Palestine Solidarity Campaign and the Socialist Movement of Ghana. This event is your chance to make a difference. Join us on Saturday, June 15, 2024 at 9 a.m. We will assemble at the University of Ghana Traffic Light, Okonglo, and make our way to Hearts of Oak Park in Accra. Sign up now to participate in this incredible event via the link below or scan the QR code on your screen. For more information, call us on 0549 342 342, 0247 029 472, or WhatsApp us on 0263 466626. Together, we can make our voices heard. Stand with Palestine. See you there. Stand with Palestine by joining our Palestine Solidarity Car Parade, organized by the Palestine Solidarity Campaign and the Socialist Movement of Ghana. This event is your chance to make a difference. Join us on Saturday, June 15th, 2024 at 9 a.m. We will assemble at the University of Ghana Traffic Light, Okonglo, and make our way to Hearts of Oak Park in Accra. Sign up now to participate in this incredible event via the link below or scan the QR code on your screen. For more information, call us on 0549 342 342, 0247 029 472, or WhatsApp us on 0263 466626. Together, we can make our voices heard. Stand with Palestine. See you there.